Welcome to the CAS SDS Basic Track for Winter 2018. Today we will be installing Django, a web framework in Python with Python virtual environments for both 2.7 and 3.x Python versions. Right here you can see we have a GitHub link posted with a README, which will have detailed instructions on how to go through all these steps for both Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. This tutorial is going to specifically focus on both Windows, Linux and Mac OS. The only parts that they differ are in their installation. So for Mac, go to python.org/downloads. These download buttons, as seen here, will be update so that you download the Mac variant. You should download 3.6 and 2.7. Run through the installers, just click agree on all the licenses and terms and conditions, and that will be installed. Then open up a terminal and follow the commands post Linux installation steps. So for Linux, I'm going to show the Ubuntu variant of installation, Ubuntu/Debian. For any more different variants of installation, please visit the GitHub link, and that contains the different package managers for different variants. So we're going to install 2.7 first with an apt-get install. You're installing Python and Python pip. You're also going to install Python 3 and Python 3 pip. Pip is the package manager, and it will be how we will be getting the virtual environments. I already have this, so it should just tell me that the requirements are satisfied. You will most likely need to confirm the downloads. It will download and install everything. Make sure that you include the sudo. You do need to elevate your terminal. We can check to make sure we have these installed with Python version. That is our Python 2.7. And then we have Python 3 version, and that gives us 3.5. We can confirm that we have our pips installed with calling the module from the Python interpreter we want to check for, and then passing it pip and then pip commands. This takes a bit longer. I have my Python 2 pip. Check my Python 3 pip. Those last two steps, checking to make sure that you have your Pythons and pips installed, do work on Mac as well. Everything from here on out will be universal between Linux and Mac. So, first thing we're going to need to do is install virtual environments on both 2.7 Python and 3.5 or 3.x Python. So Python M, referencing the pip module again, and install. This is virtual env. I'm not sure if I need a sudo. I'm going to do it just in case. I already have it, but this will go show you a progress bar installing, and it will be installed. We can also do this for Python 3 by just adding a 3 there. I should have this installed as well. I do. Okay. So next you're going to want to create a folder where you can store your virtual environments. In this series we're storing them separate from our source code as to not have to worry about adding them to Git repositories. So we're going to change into, I have a folder already created. If you don't have a folder, you can make dir file name. So let's make our 2.7 environment first. That's going to be Python M virtual environment. Right here we're accessing the virtual environment through the specific Python interpreter. That way we get Python 2.7 within our virtual environment. And I'm going to call this is just the name of the virtual environment that you will reference in the future to activate. So I'm going to call mine env 2.7 and create it. Right now it's creating a folder in my current directory, and it's linking all the binaries in there. So when I source and activate the virtual environment, these binaries will be linked to my default Python keywords. So Python will be linked to whatever Python variants inside the virtual environment, and pip will be linked to the Python equivalence pip. now we're going to create one for Python 3. This is doing the same thing as the 2.7, except it's linking all the Python 3 binaries instead of the 2.7. So when we activate into these virtual environments, that means on both of them we can just access the Python interpreter with the Python keyword, but in the 2.7 environment, we're going to get the same thing we get globally out here with the Python version. To prove that the virtual environment is working, we need to first activate the virtual environment. So I'm going to move into my 3.5 virtual environment. This could also be a 3.6 if you're on Mac and you downloaded the latest installer. Then you're going to move into that virtual environment and move into the bin folder. It is this activate that we care about. We're going to source that. And right here, you see that we have confirmation that we're inside the virtual environment. The other way we can check is, as I just showed, when I did Python version outside of this, I got 2.7. And here, when I do Python TacTac version, I get 3.5, meaning our virtual environment is working. Pip should also be linked as well. Okay, while we're in here, we're going to install Django. So this is as simple as pip install Django. It's going to install the latest Django version because it's the latest Django version works with 3.x. And this is installing it locally to only this virtual environment, so this local folder wherever you have it. That means when you exit out globally again, Django won't be there. And when you activate your 2.7 virtual environment, Django won't be there either until you install it. I will show this so we can access the Django module and call TacTac version on it as well to prove that we have it installed. This takes a bit. There we go, success. So, Python module Django 2.01. Okay, and then to deactivate, exit a virtual environment, we can just, virtual environment adds a nice keyword, just deactivate, and you lose that header, so you're out of the virtual environment. If I run that same module I just ran before, no module Django, it's not installed. All right, so let's install Django inside of our 2.7 environment. So I'm just going to do this from out here. 7, bin, activate. As you can see, my Python version is now back. There. So this is again just we can check that pip is correctly linked. It is correctly linked within my environments folder. So I can go pip install Django, and here we can't do the latest version because it is not compatible with 2.7, so we have to specify version 1.11. So you can do that with setting Django equals to 1.11, and it will install that version. So we'll sit through and wait for this again. Anytime now. There we go. So we can check that this is installed properly and it should return 1.11. It is. So we will deactivate out of the 2.7 environment, run that same command again as before, no module Django. So now let's start a basic just default Django web server. I'm going to source into my 3.5 environment. And I'm going to run Django. Well, first off, now that I'm inside, I can go inside my environment. I can go anywhere on the computer to create my source directory. So I'm going to go back out of my environments folder and create it back in my SDS folder. So I'm going to do Django admin, start project, and then this is going to be the name of my project and source code folder. So I'm just going to call it my site. And I'm going to change directory into my site, and we see we have a manage.py and another my site folder. If we look inside that other my site folder, we see we actually start seeing our Python files. We will get into this in a later tutorial, but for now, we just need to activate that manage. Activate that manage Python and migrate our database first. This will initialize our database so we can create a super user. As we can see right here, we have a new file, SQLite database, and we will also then create our super user. This will ask us if I spell it correctly. Ask us for super user username. I'll do admin. We need to pass it just any old random email address and then a password. So the final step is to run our server. And that's Python manage.py run server. This starts it on a local host, port 8000. And we get our successful web server running. Okay, thank you, and we will show you how to create a basic Django application next time.